there has been some NBA news that, of course, we have to touch on and have to share our opinions on because we know ball. I guess we can start with the most recent thing, the first real trade. I wouldn't call it a blockbuster per se, but
Guess who?
the first real trade of the offseason. Who is this supposed to be?
Bane.
Desmond Bane, come on up.
That the
We know
muscles,
ball. We
the
know ball.
muscles in the muscles in the T-Rex arms.
Yep. Come on up. Short follow through.
But yes, the Memphis Grizzlies traded Desmond Bane to the Orlando Magic for Cole Anthony. Who Cole Anthony? Who else was it? It was one more.
ACP.
KCP, right? KCP, Cole Anthony, 4 first round picks and a first round pick swap as well. Thoughts on this? First initial thoughts on this. Let's start there.
WTF? Like,
Is it just the picks that's WTF?
it's the picks and like other compensation too. KCP and Cole Anthony. Like, yeah, I like Desmond Bane, but 4 first round picks and Cole
This is
Anthony?
reminiscent of Rudy Gobert when they almost
It's not that
flooded
bad.
the market pre KD, and
It's
then
not that
KD
bad.
still went for scraps. No, but I'm not. No, I'm not saying in terms of being a bad trade, but
Gotcha.
more so the amount of they gave up a whole roster in like 4 firsts
Well,
for Gobert, but like 2 people in 4 firsts. I'm like, Desmond Bane is this is a very win now move. This is seeing that the East is very open if Indiana is making it to a finals, and they're like, we think Desmond Bane can be that piece to put us over the hump, which is not bad. That's a definitely consistent 3-and-D guy that you could pair next to Paolo and Franz. They just need, a formidable 5, I feel, or they can kind of be mobile like that. I I don't hate it.
so what I will say is it does feel like they pulled the trigger kind of early, but I'm equally confused because I also outside of the picks, I don't really know Memphis's play on what they're doing now because I would have considered
I,
Bane a part of their core. But if you move, and I also think this, I don't think that Memphis was shopping Bane. I think that the Magic were probably shopping KCP and they were probably looking at Bane like Bane fits our cores window. Like he fits a need that we have. What would it take to get Bane? And Memphis said, well, how bad do you want him? And the Magic were like,
Bad.
F it. We'll go and we'll kind of sit in the house. I'm only a bit confused because one, in trading away Cole Anthony, I get it because they were always guard heavy anyway. So somebody was going to have to go. But to the point of needing a offensive minded guard, I'm a bit confused that they didn't, unless they have something else up their sleeve. But with the picks they gave up, I'm not really sure what that would be, unless it'll be another trade, including players. Whereas that offensive minded guard, unless you're going to say we're going to have the ball in Paolo and Fran's hands, basically, and Suggs can be defense, which is his like strength, obviously. Even though Suggs is an underrated offensive player, I'm not sitting here saying he can't produce offensively. But that was the only thing that kind of shocked me. And as far as the picks, I think I think we are constantly reminded the NBA that we're in now. I think we're still shocked because 4 picks up until maybe 2, 3 years ago seemed absurd. But in the last 2, 3 years, we've seen a lot of players go for 3, 4 picks, whether that's first round, second round, whatever the case may be. And it's starting to become the somewhat going rate for, even if it's not like
Starter.
4 picks is
It
no
almost
longer the going rate for solely a star player. You can be a mid-tier player or a high-level role player and be worth those picks because that's the NBA now. So that's the perspective I try to look at it in. It still comes off a little crazy, and we won't know the effects of it until down the road. Obviously, we don't know who those picks are going to be. We don't know if the Magic are going to be more of contenders now than they were before. So it's all like we still all have to see. But uh, it's an interesting trade for sure. I get why the Magic did it. Not so much sure what Memphis is trying to do, but it's not really as surprising anymore, I guess is what I'm ultimately getting at.
It's inflation. Um, but no, you guys remember when I asked if Josh should seek a trade?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So
they're
What
saying
now?
they're doing this because they want to build around John Jaren, probably Edie.
But
unless
And like
could
mhm.
they
they
be
want to win now. So I think if anything, they're doing what the Hawks should have done earlier on that Trey roster where they're like, oh, we can compete. But instead they instead of saying, oh yeah, we can compete, they should have said, this is probably our best shot. Let's repackage and retool another version of a squad like this to better compete in the future instead of, beat pretenders. So I think this is kind of that early scratch of like, all right, our ceiling is this, even though they really haven't had a healthy go at it at any year. They're probably just seeing the writing of the wall on the wall is like, yeah, this is kind of it. We can at least trade Desmond for a lot of young pieces and a lot of potential future pieces that we could pair with Ja that we wouldn't have been able to do if we are seeking a chip with a guard. They already was he's getting like 200 something mils, Desmond Bane.
yeah.
Like, yeah, I think that's that. And if they only can afford to pay Ja and Jaren premium rates, probably have to get rid of somebody at some point anyway. So
That's true.
stay
But
with the
this is
high
gonna
value
take
guys.
like how many first rounders through what year? Was it
4 through
27
4 through
or
8,
8?
probably maybe.
Yeah.
yeah, that
I want
sounds
to say
about
20.
right.
Either way, that's a long time.
It is, but it's like at that rate too. If you're,
Yeah,
well,
like John would be late.
if you're Orlando, you're probably thinking that they're going to be high first rounders anyways. That they would be getting. If you are a young team that's going to be competing, I don't see them blowing up this core for. I'm gonna say they'll give it 5. They have enough time. They're both what sub 20.
Yeah,
They're
no,
the
I'm not
On
saying
three.
from
Yeah.
Orlando's
yeah.
standpoint, okay, it's not that bad because, like I said, like adding Desmond Bane, okay, you're in a great position for the coming years. But from a Memphis standpoint, it feels kind of like panicky because it's going to take you X amount of picks to even see what you could build around Ja. Is Ja going to even want to stay that long through 2028 to see it come to fruition?
I don't
Unless you flip these picks.
I don't think Ja wants to leave Memphis.
I don't
So I
either.
don't, so I don't think they are operating in the fear of that happening. I don't see a clear direction at the moment, but crazier things have happened, right? So uh, maybe the offseason, maybe they're waiting for a couple dominoes to drop. Maybe they're just kind of like, we need to figure out, like what coach wants and just kind of maybe his first year, we just working out the kinks and we figuring out how, like Ja is still young. Jaren is still young. Now, if I start hearing more talks about Jaren, then I'll feel more like they may be trying to head into a rebuild or some type of soft rebuild. But until that point, I think this is more of like a reset for them. Like with Ja and Jaren, you're still okay. Like in the West, it's tough because it's the West, but you still have the foundations to figure out, okay, well, what do we want to build around those two? But those two are enough, so to say, to feel like you got something to work with. So it's early, and like I said, it's the first move. So we'll see what happens as draft picks start being traded, like before pre-draft, I mean, and like once the draft happens, and then once the offseason actually begins, like we'll see how teams start to kind of come together. But yeah, very interesting start to the offseason in regards to trades for sure. My boy Brad got to cook it. I think we all predicted that these moves were gonna happen, maybe not this fast, and maybe
Or
not maybe not for as good of a haul that he seemingly got back. But let's start with the Drew trade.
stupid.
I love it. I'm not gonna
Dirty.
lie to you.
Wrong.
No, I
No,
mean Portland's owners need to be on that firing squad with Nico. Throw what is it? Leon
Oh,
Rose.
wait, Miguel, why you say that? Because Anthony was
The Mavericks owners. Get them all out of here. Cause what is going on in Portland? But not what's going on in Utah. What is going on in Portland? Rebuilding what? What is being rebuilt? They are destroyed. Maybe
they like Scoop.
Yes, I get it. But
what would you have had them do? Not just not take the trade?
What are they doing? Why specifically with the Celtics? Why hand them what do they have? What does Brad know that we don't know that's happening in Portland? That they're just willing and able just be like, here, we will bail you out for some reason. Granted, there's teams that happen, there's trades that happen where it looks like, they're just handing them a prime contender, a great player for no reason, but it's just like there's something up with these trades between Portland and Boston that it smells fishy. It smells like Detroit and Milwaukee back in the days where it's like, if I was a Detroit fan, why are we giving you Chris Middleton? Granted, he wasn't anything back then, but it's like,
okay,
I don't like it.
So I don't necessarily disagree with you, Gail, but what I do think is I think Portland is in a space where they don't really have anything to lose. Like, it doesn't matter. And I think that they're being used as a hub to reroute players anyway, at least in this specific capacity. So, and with Anthony in particular, right? Like,
they want to pay him.
Like they probably were not going to pay him. If you think about it, Anthony probably didn't want to re-sign there anyway. He deserves to be on a team where he's going to be playing meaningful basketball. So you could look at it and be like, he shouldn't have went to Boston. But if he had ended up in Orlando, which there was talks about that before, if he ended up on any type of contender or any team where he would have made them more of a contender, it would have potentially been the same argument. So I think it just happened to be Boston.
Back and forth. And it's Drew again. Like, they're taking on a large contract for, what is that? Is that a buyout candidate? Can they buy that out?
Maybe.
And then
which might happen because I don't think rerouting Drew will be as easy as it was 2 years ago for a lot of different reasons.
Gigantic.
Yeah, it is.
So it's like, I don't know. Something just smelled afoot. And then they had a huge reach for that's in the draft. I'll get there, but it's about my theory. They're trying to get the TV market. They don't care about winning. They don't want to pay a guy that could help them win. And there's going to be stuck in a cyclical tragedy of a franchise. And I just feel bad because it's just like, what really is the move? Is Scoot the answer? I hope. But I just don't know what the vision just looks so blurry to me.
I mean, they're in a tough spot like that. There's a lot to figure out, and I don't think it's going to happen overnight for them. But sometimes you're just in this limbo. But I mean, it's great. It sets up Boston. I mean, you talk about having a year to just throwing something on the wall to see if it sticks. With the potential of maybe finding a gold mine. Like, I don't think there's anything better Brad could have done in this situation. You get a lot more offense back than you probably expected with Tatum being out. Obviously, Simons is not Tatum, but that's a person that can give you 20 a night, with Brown already giving you 20, maybe even more a night, if JB is going to obviously be your number one now. So it's great, in that regard. And I don't remember the picks. Did Boston get 2 picks too, or did they give 2 picks to Portland?
I think Portland gave 2 picks
with Anthony for Drew. Yeah.
Yes. What does that help the future for?
Right. But I mean, we don't know yet. We have no idea, right? So that's the first domino. And then the next day,
Pingus.
The next day he turns around and gets off of Porzingis and gets Niang back, which I know Niang has kind of been a journeyman, so to say, but I think he fits good in Boston for the players they have and for the players they typically like to utilize. So,
kind of fun.
So I mean, like, this is, and we knew those were the two contracts that he was most likely to get off and that he needed to get off, to get them under the second apron from where they were. This has just been a masterclass in operating in not so much free agency, but in the trade market, in the offseason. And Brad has been doing this for some time now, obviously the last 3 or 4 years or so. But yeah, great moves. Porzingis was great when he was on the floor. So I don't think that Porzingis as a player is the problem. So if he's healthy and if he can stay on the floor in Atlanta, I love that. I love him and Trey. That's dangerous.
They could reroute Clint somewhere and then live with that.
Exactly. So now you may want to keep Clint as an insurance policy because of Porzingis' history. But if it works, that's too. Right. So I think that's a win-win. Terrence Mann going to Brooklyn kind of sucks because I have no idea what Brooklyn is doing. But
draft picks are doing something.
That'll be their starting five. Let them tell it. But yeah, no, crazy. Yeah, Brad was cooking. So interesting. It's been a super interesting kind of start to the offseason with some of these moves. And I think the only other trade that happened, interesting trade to say the least, especially seeing what they ended up doing in the draft. But Poole for McCollum, it wasn't straight up. Oh no. Sadiq Bey also went with Poole to New Orleans. I think it was just McCollum, maybe some picks. Probably should have looked that up. But essentially, those players, it might be some picks that we don't know how relevant they'll be just yet. But thoughts on that trade? Washington's in a really interesting place now, especially with those three veterans and relatively injury-prone guys that they have. And New Orleans got younger with a core that, if healthy, has always been really dangerous. They just haven't been healthy. So, yeah, thoughts on this trade?
No, yeah, I like New Orleans. I like the backcourt, DeJounte, Jordan, obviously Zion's down there. And then they draft the big from Duke?
No.
Who'd they draft?
No, they ended up getting
they got a guard or a wing.
No, they got Derek Queen, no?
Derek Queen.
Derek Queen. It was Derek Queen.
From Maryland. I like him. So I think, yeah, New Orleans is a nice young team. I think they'll be nice. Maybe a play-in team, but I'm not mad at the move that they made at all.
They're still youth coded.
All depending on Zion.
It all depends on Zion.
If Zion's healthy and playing like the regular season and not missing 45, 50 games, Herb Jones is healthy, Trey Murphy is healthy, Alvarado is healthy, DeJounte Murray is healthy.
Yep.
Jordan Poole.
I even like Jordan Hawkins out of UConn.
That's what I was going to say.
They're low-key stacked. Like, if they're healthy and can put it all together, I think they're defensively, they're about as good as most teams in the West. They if they're healthy, like, they're probably a top 5, 6 defense in the West, at least. I don't know about the entire league, but damn near might as well put them up there. But if they can figure it out and you got somebody like Zion leading them, could get really scary. But that's a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and what ifs that we won't know until we get into the season. But yeah, I did not expect this offseason to maybe get this busy this quickly, but I think there's a lot more in store. So